From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, let's take a look at the latest headlines. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump says Taiwan should pay the United States for protection from China, raising concern over aid to the island if in fact he returns to the White House. Reports say Russia and Ukraine are set to exchange 90 prisoners of war in a deal facilitated by the United Arab Emirates. Seoul says North Korea has laid tens of thousands of new landmines along its border, forcing its soldiers to work in grim conditions as they suffer casualties. The Paris mayor swims in the Seine River to prove its water is clean enough to host outdoor swimming events for the Paris Olympics amid concerns over pollution. And Italy's competition watchdog investigates luxury fashion groups Armani and Dior over allegations that they used suppliers that underpaid and overworked their staff. We begin with the latest here in the United States. Days after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, reports say the United States received intelligence in recent weeks about an Iranian plot to target the former president. Now, according to the report, Secret Service shared details of an increased threat with the Trump campaign. The White House, however, says there was no indications that the 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, the suspected shooter, had any foreign or domestic accomplices. Meanwhile, Iran has called these allegations malicious. Here's our report with details.
It's been 4 days since former U.S. President Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And now reports have revealed that President Joe Biden's administration received intelligence weeks ago that Iran was actively working on a plot to kill the former president. Reports say that the U.S. government gathered information from various sources, including a human source, on threats from Tehran that are linked to physical acts of violence against Trump. The information was also conveyed to the U.S. Secret Service and the Trump campaign, following which protection for Donald Trump was boosted further in June. This included additional counter-assault and counter-sniper agents, robotic dogs, and drones. The Secret Service also reportedly warned the Trump campaign against holding outdoor rallies that could pose greater risks. However, the Trump campaign claims that the Secret Service mentioned the threat in passing and it was not made aware of any specific threats from an Iranian individual or a group. Now, the White House says there is no indication that 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, who tried to assassinate Donald Trump in Saturday's event, was connected to the Iranian plot in any way. However, the latest revelations do raise new questions about security lapses at Trump's rally and how the shooter managed to come close enough to the Republican presidential nominee to fire shots and injure his right ear. It is worth noting that this is not the first time intelligence about Iran's plot against Trump has come up. The White House National Security Council says the U.S. security officials had been tracking such threats for years. These threats arise from Iran's desire to seek revenge for the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. The commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, who was killed by an American airstrike at the Baghdad International Airport in January 2020, when Donald Trump was in power. However, Iran has dismissed the allegations of an assassination plot against Trump. Tehran has called these accusations unsubstantiated and malicious. The Iranian mission at the United Nations says that Donald Trump is a criminal who must be punished in a court of law, and Iran's acting foreign minister Ali Bagheri Kani says Tehran will only resort to Iranian and international legal and judicial procedures. Not only Donald Trump, but his former senior officials have also been allegedly targeted by Iran, and they have had tight security since leaving the government. These officials include former National Security Advisor John Bolton, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and former Iran envoy Brian Hook. All of them were in office when the Trump administration carried out a drone strike that killed Soleimani.
Shifting focus to the Middle East, Israel has bombed another school run by the United Nations in the Gaza Strip. This marks the 6th United Nations-run school hit by Israeli forces in just 10 days. The IDF also launched a strike on a designated safe zone where thousands of displaced Palestinians had sought shelter. At least 60 people were killed in these attacks that Israel claims were carried out to target Hamas fighters. Meanwhile, the armed wing of Hamas said its fighters attacked Israeli forces in several locations with mortar bombs and anti-tank rockets. Hamas ally Palestinian Islamic Jihad also claimed to have fired missiles at southern Israel. However, no damage or casualties have been reported by Israel. Meanwhile, the United States Central Intelligence Agency has assessed that Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar is under pressure from his own fighters to accept the ceasefire proposal. Now the ceasefire deal is endorsed by Israel and backed by the United Nations and the United States. CIA Director William Burns says that senior Hamas commanders are tired of the fight and want to end the 9-month-long war. And it's not just the Hamas commanders who are pressuring Sinwar to accept the truce deal. The people of Gaza have also started blaming the Palestinian group for their suffering. Meanwhile, China is preparing to host Palestinian factions to hold unity talks later this month. The talks will include rival groups Hamas and Fatah, which have competed for power in Gaza and the West Bank for nearly 2 decades. The two groups previously met in Beijing in April, but failed to produce any tangible results. Notably, the Fatah movement continues to criticize Hamas for the Gaza war, while Hamas has accused Fatah of taking Israel's side. Now, as for China, hosting this meeting between the two Palestinian rivals will serve as yet another opportunity to showcase itself as a mediator on the global stage. And staying in the region, the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the deadly attack at a Shiite mosque in Oman. At least 6 people were killed and around 28 injured in a rare shooting incident in the Gulf nation's capital, Muscat. The attack, which took place in the Al Wadi Al Kabir area, ended with security forces killing the 3 gunmen involved. Now, the assault has raised concerns that the Islamic State might be expanding its reach despite its history of claiming attacks it didn't directly execute. The identities of the victims and attackers remain undisclosed by Omani authorities, with no official statement on their motives. Meanwhile, Pakistan reported that 4 of its citizens were among the dead in what they called a terrorist attack. India has also confirmed the death of one of its nationals. Footage from the scene showed worshippers running for cover as gunshots rang out on the eve of a Shia holy day. Video from the mosque also captured worshippers shouting religious phrases amidst the chaos. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif expressed deep sorrow and instructed the Pakistani embassy in Muscat to assist the injured. Pakistani Ambassador Imran Ali visited the injured, describing their conditions as relatively safe, and advised Pakistani residents to avoid the area and cooperate with authorities. Now, the ambassador also revealed that the attackers initially opened fire from a building adjacent to the mosque, holding hundreds of worshippers hostage before being neutralized by Omani forces. Now, Oman, known for its stability and role in regional mediation, was stunned by the attack. In fact, in recent years, the Gulf has been shaken by multiple attacks on Shiite mosques. The latest incident in Oman, however, marks the first of its kind in the country. In 2015, a devastating suicide attack on a Shiite mosque in Kuwait resulted in the deaths of at least 27 worshippers and left over 200 injured. This attack was attributed to the Sunni extremist group, the Islamic State. Also in the same year, Saudi Arabia experienced 2 attacks on Shiite mosques within a week, resulting in the loss of at least 25 people. These attacks were also claimed by the Islamic State, known for its view of Shiites as heretics. And moving to Thailand, in a puzzling and tragic turn of events, 6 foreign nationals were discovered dead in a lavish suite at an upscale hotel in Bangkok. Initially, whispers of a shooting circulated among local media, but these were swiftly debunked by authorities who found no trace of gunfire. Instead, investigators are delving into the possibility of poisoning as the cause of death. The autopsy results by Thai authorities found cyanide in the bodies of the victims and suspected that the killer was in fact among them.
From the qualitative analysis, cyanide was found in the liquid inside the teapot, in all 6 coffee cups, and in the blood samples collected from the deceased man leaning against the wall.
Now, out of the 6 victims, 4 were Vietnamese nationals and 2 held dual Vietnamese and American citizenship. Thailand's prime minister also visited the hotel where the incident took place. He said the victims might have been dead for up to 24 hours before being found and emphasized that the deaths were the result of foul play rather than a suicide pact.
Initially, from our inspection of the scene, there was no robbery or assault. The initial suspicion is that it might involve something ingested, based on the autopsy and forensic evidence. Therefore, it is not related to robbery, but further investigation is needed to confirm this.
However, the plot thickens when it was revealed that 7 individuals were actually booked for the stay, yet only 6 checked in, leaving 1 person unaccounted for. And the Metropolitan Police added another layer to the mystery by noting that one of the deceased did not match the hotel's records. Suspicious substances and the victim's DNA were detected in drinks ordered to the suite, though the food they had ordered remained untouched.
Drinks that have been consumed were found on the table. There were cups similar to tea or coffee cups, 5 of them, placed on another table. Every glass was emptied and some residue was found in the glasses.
Now, according to the hotel, the victims were scheduled to check out on Monday, and despite their room being on the 7th floor, their bodies were discovered by housekeepers in a suite's living room and bedroom located on the 5th floor. So as the police continued to search for answers, investigators revealed that the case appeared to be personal and did not involve organized crime. The Vietnamese and the United States embassies have been contacted over the deaths, and the FBI were en route. Now, according to the victims' relatives, a husband and wife among the dead had invested money with 2 of the other victims, suggesting that money could be a motive and that the group might have been meeting to settle the matter. Reports say some of the victims were repeat visitors to the hotel, which is located in a bustling tourist area. This tragedy has surfaced at a time when Thailand is pushing to revive its tourism sector, which had been hit hard during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Southeast Asian nation recently expanded its visa-free entry scheme to 93 countries and territories. Thailand's prime minister stressed that the incident must not tarnish the country's reputation or deter tourists. Our final story is from Turkey. There's a new Hermes in town, and it's all about books. A bookseller in Izmir city has won a copyright infringement against French luxury giant Hermes. He filed a case to legalize the name of his 15-year-old bookstore, which has the name that's nearly identical to that of the luxury giant. But the French brand wasn't too thrilled about this and dragged the Turkish bookstore to court with an army of lawyers. But for once, the luxury fashion house had to eat humble pie. Our final report explains.
Hermes, a name synonymous with luxury and a brand that commands instant recognition. For 187 years, this iconic French brand has maintained its legacy. It has captivated the world with its exquisite leather goods, lifestyle accessories, and home furnishings. Over the years, Hermes has ascended to the echelons of the world's most powerful brands. And with great power comes not only great responsibility, but also heaps of money. This dominance might make one think they're invincible. With their army of lawyers and influential political connections, they ensure every corner of their business is impeccably guarded. However, a man over 3,000 kilometers away in Turkey decided to challenge this luxury behemoth. And to everyone's utter surprise, he won. Meet Umit Nar, the proud owner of a bookstore in Izmir, Turkey, aptly named Hermes Sahaf. He triumphed in a copyright battle against the French luxury titan. Nar's journey began when he decided to name his bookstore Hermes Sahaf. But the French brand wasn't too thrilled about this. And now a court in Ankara partially voided a decision by the Turkish Patent and Trademark Office. It had previously restricted the use of the name Hermes to the French company alone. The case, filed in 2021, saw Nar seeking to register a trademark for his 15-year-old bookstore. The moment the request was filed, Hermes's legal battalion sprung into action. They declared a legal war. Hermes's lawyers dragged the Turkish Patent and Trademark Office into court with an aim to prevent Nar from using Hermes in the name. They argued there was a similarity and risk of confusion, despite the stark differences in their business sectors. The lawyers cited their own foray into publishing via a magazine. For Nar, this victory is monumental. He contends that Hermes is a deity from Greek mythology, a cultural heritage belonging to humanity, and hence cannot be monopolized by a company. Nar's lawyer is equally happy. He's seeing this as a triumph over the aggressive trademark policies of multinational giants like Hermes. These firms often overextend their trademark claims beyond their industries, and this verdict serves as a loud no to such practices. This case not only highlights the importance of preserving cultural heritage, but also sets a precedent against the overreach of corporate giants. And so, as the ancient god Hermes might chuckle from the heavens, sometimes it takes a small bookstore to remind the world that names, much like myths, belong to everyone.
And that's our show for today. We certainly thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden. How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.